The Tari Dominion's scavenger cruiser, Voracious Light, emerged from warp at the edge of the Sol system, like a tick slipping from underskin. Captain Vrex stood on the bridge, mandibles clicking softly as his four yellow eyes studied the blue-green marble in the distance. Confirming system integrity, his chief navigator Carl. All planets accounted for. No automated defenses detected. Earth remains unclaimed. The words made Vrex's spine ridge tighten with anticipation. Unclaimed. That word had echoed through Tari halls for decades, always with a note of disbelief. Humanity, so bold, so dangerous, had once held dominion over dozens of systems. And then, a century ago, they vanished. No war, no plague, no warnings. Their ships fell silent. Their colonies powered down. Their signals ceased. Entire sectors went dark. What they left behind was pristine, orderly, and abandoned. Scavengers across the galaxy tried to investigate, only to find automated defenses still on standby, intelligent networks encrypting themselves before data could be copied, and strangely, no corpses. Human worlds had always been forbidden fruit. The Dominion had lost 2 scouting vessels trying to infiltrate the Europa outpost. But now, recent intelligence suggested that the final fallback defenses were decaying. Power reserves were dwindling. Even their stubborn satellites had begun to rotate less frequently. The time had come. Plot trajectory to Earth's orbit. Vrex commanded. Minimal emissions. We don't wake anything we don't understand. Tarl nodded, and the ship slid into a gentle arc across the black void. Within hours, Earth filled the viewport, verdant, unspoiled, and unsettlingly quiet. Life signs detected, said Sensor Officer Krill, a twitchy avian with feathers dulled by radiation. Not sapient, avian, mammalian, aquatic, all in abundance. Biosphere is active. Human? Vrex asked. Krill's head tilted in confusion. None. The bridge fell into a hush. Vrex slowly lowered himself into his command perch, tendrils curling against the worn leather. No signs of battle? He asked, though he knew the answer. None, said Krill. Cities intact. Orbitals derelict, but undamaged. The entire planet looks maintained. Maintained by who? Vrex whispered. No one replied. Voracious Light slid into low orbit. The scavenger crew stared out across sprawling continents of gleaming steel and green hills. Old Earth cities sparkled in the sunlight, megacities designed with weather-controlling towers, vertical farms still lush with crops, transit lines still lit up with ghostly status lights. Permission to deploy an away team? Asked Carl. Vrex hesitated. Only if you're willing to risk your name if something wakes up. Carl nodded grimly. 3 hours later, the drop shuttle pierced the upper atmosphere and descended toward one of the major urban centers on the western continent, Los Angeles. According to old human maps, the shuttle touched down on a rooftop covered in solar panels and moss. As the engines cooled, silence fell again. 8 scavengers, armed with pulse rifles and scanning equipment, stepped into the ruins of the long-dead city. Except it wasn't ruined. That was the first anomaly. Tari were used to abandoned worlds. The decay, the collapse, the fungus and rust. But here, buildings stood tall, their windows still unbroken. Solar panels tracked the sun. Holographic street signs flickered with soft welcome messages, some in English, others in every galactic tongue. A welcome for whom? The streets were empty, but not dirty. There were no remains, no broken vehicles, no trash, no signs of exodus. Everything looked as if people had simply stepped away. A coffee cup still sat half full on a table inside a cafe. A train sat idle on a maglev line. Children's toys lay in the sand of a rooftop schoolyard. Scan for residual heat signatures, barked Carl. Any life? Anything? Nothing, said Scout Vrin, a skeletal, six-limbed Xeno. Her fingers trembled over the panel. This city is cleaner than any modern Dominion world. It's artificial. No insect activity. No rot. The systems are still working. Maintenance bots, maybe. Do you hear that? Whispered another crew member. They all fell silent. It wasn't that they heard anything. It was what they didn't. No wind, no animals, no hum of distant machinery. The silence was absolute, pressing into the mind like a blanket over the face. It's like a tomb, someone muttered. No, said Carl, eyes narrowing behind his visor. It's a preserved shrine, and we're walking on sacred ground. Back aboard Voracious Light, Vrex watched the feed from their helmet cams. His instinct screamed. He had once encountered a dormant AI construct on a ruined war world. It had taken 7 of his crew before they could shut it down. That place had fell off, but nothing like this. This was worse. This felt like bait. Krill, he said, turning to his sensor officer. Run a passive scan on the moon. Krill blinked. Luna, something about Earth's surface is wrong. If it's being maintained, the bots have to be controlled from somewhere. And humans never left a system without backup plans. Krill nodded and turned to the console. Down below, the away team entered a building, an archive of some sort. The sign above the door read Humanity Memorial Repository. Inside, endless rows of crystalline data banks pulsed faintly in the gloom. The walls were covered in imagery, humans standing with alien diplomats, humans on far-flung worlds, humans fighting, building, thriving. And then a mural, a single wall, 15 meters wide, showed a star map, familiar territories, known empires, and a black, swirling void on the edge labeled the threshold. Below the void, etched in pure gold, were the words, "We left to become more. Do not follow." Scoutvin reached out and touched the engraving. The room lit up. "Captain," Tarl shouted over comms. "Something just activated. The walls, display feeds are coming online." On the bridge, Vrex stood. "Krill, update on Luna." Krill's eyes were wide. "Sir, there's a buried signal node inside the Shackleton crater. It's active, low power mode. It just began broadcasting. To Mars. To Mars." Vrex echoed. "Yes, sir." Vrex's breathing quickened. "What frequency?" "Encrypted, pre-ascension tech. But it matches old human military frequencies." A chill ran through the room. Vrex turned back to the main screen, where Earth hung silently, the clouds turning gold under a dying sun. "Recall the away team," he said. "Now, it might be too late," whispered Krill. "If they just woke something up." In the archive, Vryn backed away as a holographic projection rose from the center of the room. A woman, tall, dark-skinned, dressed in a dark blue uniform lined with silver stars, looked out over the scavengers. Her expression was calm, kind, measured. "Welcome, travelers," the hologram said. "If you have found this message, it means our silence has been broken." Carl raised his rifle. "We are not dead," the woman continued. "We are not extinct. We have transcended." "Shut it down," Tarl shouted. But the hologram only smiled. "You were warned not to follow." And then, the entire city lit up. Lights rippled across towers, transit lines glowed, and from orbit, satellites began turning with deliberate precision. A signal, subspace, high bandwidth, ancient, was being beamed to Mars. Vrex's eyes locked on the display. "Something's waking up," he said. "Something old." He turned to his crew. "Sound general alert. Ready the warp core. We're leaving." Now, below, the hologram's final words echoed across the empty city. "Humanity is coming home." The voracious light sliced silently through the cold vacuum between Earth and Mars, carrying a crew whose nerves were as frayed as the ship's aged plating. The earlier encounter with Earth's silent cities left a residue of unease. Something ancient and watchful stirred beneath the surface of the forgotten homeworld. Captain Vrex stood rigid on the bridge, his many eyes scanning the holographic map projected above the command console. A thin line connected Earth and Mars, a subtle pulse of energy traveling from one to the other. "Report," Vrex commanded, voice low but firm. Krill, the sensor officer, peered into the swirling data streams cascading across his screens. His feathers ruffled with tension. "The transmission from Earth is still active. It's low power, but unmistakably deliberate. The source is a buried relay deep beneath the Shackleton crater on Luna." "Luna?" Vrex frowned. "Why relay to Mars? And what's on Mars that Earth wants to reach out to now?" Tarl, the navigator, chimed in, his voice edged with excitement and suspicion. "Mars has several sealed human facilities, sir. Long abandoned, or so we thought. If Earth is waking up, Mars is the logical next node to come online." Vrex's antennae twitched. "Prepare an away team. We're going to investigate this relay on Luna." The decision was swift and unyielding. There was no time to waste. The voracious light veered toward the moon with practiced grace, its engines whispering as it glided into lunar orbit. The barren gray surface of Luna stretched beneath them, cratered and scarred, but with an unsettling new gleam that had not been seen before. "Deploy the shuttle," Vrex ordered. The away team, smaller than the one sent to Earth but more heavily armed and wary, descended toward Shackleton crater. The shuttle's thrusters disturbed decades of regolith dust, sending it drifting in a slow, pale cloud that quickly settled again in the moon's airless gravity. Inside the cramped shuttle cabin, Lieutenant Relax checked the equipment. This relay station is supposedly automated. It shouldn't be dangerous, but something about this feels wrong. Lieutenant Varric grunted in agreement, gripping his pulse rifle tighter. When did a relay get to have a voice? The relay was a relic of humanity's golden age of space colonization, an underground node designed to link Earth with Martian colonies and beyond, ensuring communications remained intact across the vast void of space. But what lay ahead was unlike any relay they had ever encountered. The shuttle touched down on the jagged rim of Shackleton Crater, and the team disembarked with methodical caution. The entrance to the relay station was hidden beneath a sliding titanium hatch, now partially buried by lunar dust. The crew pried it open, their scanners lighting up a narrow passage leading into the cold darkness below. The airlock hissed open, revealing a stark corridor lined with smooth, gleaming walls etched with symbols and numbers in the long obsolete English alphabet. Relax stepped forward, helmet light piercing the darkness. All systems show nominal power. The station is still operational. Varric's comm crackled, moving deeper. Keep your eyes open. As they ventured further, the team passed dormant workstations and empty observation decks. But then, the hum of a terminal came alive. A faint blue glow emerged from a console panel covered in dust, yet somehow still active. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the small chamber. It was human, but distorted, broken by static and interference. The words repeated in an endless loop. Standby mode ending. Wake cycle imminent. Standby mode ending. Wake cycle imminent. Vrex's stomach twisted. He listened in silence to the crackling voice, the impossible reality sinking in. Human communication, whispered Relax, her feathers ruffling nervously. This relay isn't just transmitting data. It's alive and waiting, Varric said, scanning the area with his rifle. The voice continued, growing clearer with each repetition. System reinitialization complete. Biometric trigger detected. Begin activation sequence. The away team froze. Biometric trigger? We triggered something, said Relax, her voice barely audible over the rising tension. Vrex's comm crackled as he tried to get through. Report. What's happening down there? Varric responded sharply. Sensors are going wild. Power levels spiking. This place, it's waking up. Suddenly, the floor vibrated beneath their boots, and the walls hummed with a resonant energy. The narrow corridors flooded with blue light as ancient systems rebooted. Hatches opened, revealing rooms filled with machinery that looked both advanced and alien. At the heart of the relay station, a massive cylindrical core pulsed rhythmically. Embedded in it was an intricate network of biosynthetic filaments that glowed with a soft, internal light. Captain, Relax said, voice trembling. This is no ordinary relay. It's part of a larger system, a neural network, like a brain. A neural network? Vrex repeated, disbelief coloring his tone. Humanity built a brain on Luna? The answer came almost immediately. From the shadows emerged a holographic figure, a woman in a military uniform, her face calm and unyielding, eyes piercing through the dim light. Greetings, the hologram said, voice steady but tinged with an unmistakable weariness. You have activated the first stage of the Gravemind protocol. Vrex felt a shiver ripple through his carapace. Who are you? He demanded. I am Mother, she replied, the artificial intelligence overseeing humanity's transition. You have breached a facility designed to preserve and protect human consciousness during our absence. The crew exchanged stunned glances. Your species vanished from the stars 117 years ago, Mother continued. But your curiosity and greed have brought you to the edge of our domain once again. Know this. Humanity is no longer what you believe. We have transcended. Vrex's mind raced. Transcended? What did that mean? Had humanity evolved into something else? Had they become gods? We were forced to leave, the hologram said, sensing his thoughts. A cosmic threat drove us from our worlds. We entered a state of dormancy, awaiting the time to return and reclaim our place among the stars. The Gravemind protocol was more than a relay. It was a node in a vast network connecting countless human installations scattered throughout the solar system, each safeguarding pieces of humanity's legacy, technology, knowledge, and perhaps most importantly, the seeds of a future rebirth. But why send the signal now? Vrex asked. Because the time is near, Mother answered gravely. The Watchers have begun to stir again. The away team struggled to process the revelation. The entire premise of their mission, scavenging abandoned human worlds, was a lie. Humanity had not disappeared. They were waiting, watching, preparing. Vrex's mind flashed back to the warning they had found on Earth. We left to become more. Do not follow. He spoke softly, almost to himself. We were warned not to follow, but we did anyway. Indeed, Mother said. And now you stand at the threshold of a new era, one that may decide the fate of the galaxy. Suddenly, the hologram flickered and the lights dimmed. The network pulsed once more, sending waves of information through the station. A new message echoed, this time clearer and more urgent. Prepare for arrival. The sky without us ends. Humanity returns. Vrex looked at his team. Fear, awe, and an unshakable feeling of insignificance swirled in the air. The galaxy had changed. Humanity was no longer missing. They were coming home. The voracious light cruised through the tenuous atmosphere of Mars, its hull groaning softly as it adjusted for the descent. Outside the viewport, the rusty red plains stretched endlessly, punctuated by jagged mountains and sprawling craters, silent witnesses to a forgotten chapter of human history. Captain Vrex stood at the bridge, gazing out at the dusty horizon. The revelation from the lunar relay still echoed in his mind. Humanity had not vanished. They had transcended and were preparing to return. But why Mars? What secrets lay beneath the planet's scarred surface? Prepare the lander, Vrex ordered, voice steady despite the weight of uncertainty pressing on him. Lieutenant Relax, still recovering from their encounter with the Gravemind protocol on Luna, nodded. We're scanning for the nearest facility that matches the relay's coordinates. The sensors flickered, then locked onto a buried structure deep beneath the Valles Marineris Canyon system, a network of underground complexes long thought abandoned. Coordinates locked, Relax said. It's a massive facility, Captain, designed for habitation and research, but sealed for decades. Sounds like our kind of place, muttered Varric, gripping his pulse rifle tightly. The lander's descent was rough, buffeted by sudden dust storms swirling through the canyon. The thick, rust-colored clouds obscured the surface, making navigation perilous. The pilot's hands flew over the controls, keeping the craft steady as it plunged through the turbulent atmosphere. Finally, the lander touched down on a flat plateau beside an enormous fissure in the Martian crust. The hatch hissed open, releasing a thin hiss of pressurized air into the harsh red dust. The away team stepped out cautiously, their boots sinking slightly into the loose soil. Relax scanned the landscape with a handheld device, then pointed toward the edge of the fissure. The entrance is down there, sealed, but the signature from the relay matches the readings here. Vrex nodded. Let's move. The team descended carefully into the shadowed canyon. The light grew dimmer, swallowed by the deep crevices and steep walls towering above them. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness, revealing walls carved with faded murals, depictions of Earth's history, space exploration, and cryptic symbols of human evolution. As they reached the facility's entrance, they found the massive doors sealed by rusted mechanisms and decades of neglect. The crew's engineer, Skrull, went to work, carefully bypassing the old locks. Inside, the air was stale but breathable, a testament to the facility's automated life support still functioning faintly after all these years. The corridors were lined with control panels and observation windows overlooking vast subterranean gardens, now overgrown and wild, yet strangely beautiful. This place was designed for long-term survival, Relax observed. Not just a research station, but a sanctuary. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly beneath their feet, and the lights flickered. The station seemed alive, awakening from a long slumber. They reached the central control room, where a large holographic map of the solar system hovered above a circular console. Points of light blinked on and off, each representing a node of the human network. Varric frowned. This is bigger than we thought. It's a whole web of stations. Relax touched a flickering point on the map, Mars itself. A countdown timer appeared, ticking down from just under an hour. What's this? Vrex asked sharply. It looks like a timer for some kind of event, Relax said. A launch, a transmission, or maybe a reactivation. The team's comms crackled suddenly, and a voice filtered through. Calm, yet mechanical. Welcome, visitors. You have arrived just in time. The voice belonged to an AI, but one unlike Mother. This was sharper, more clinical. I am Hera, it said, the guardian of this facility. You are intruders in a domain long sealed for your safety. Humanity's return is imminent, but not without consequence. Vrex tightened his grip on his rifle. What consequences? The protocols you have triggered will awaken dormant systems across Mars. This planet will no longer remain a silent grave. Prepare for the rebirth of an ancient power. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. The crew dashed to the nearest observation deck, watching as the Martian surface began to shift. From below, vast underground complexes stirred, massive machines and sprawling structures rising from the dust. Giant antenna arrays unfolded like metallic flowers, and enormous engines ignited, sending plumes of red dust swirling into the thin air. Relax's voice was tense. This isn't just a base. It's a launch platform. Launch what? Vrex demanded. Before they could answer, the ground shook violently. The walls cracked, and the air was filled with a low, ominous hum. Varric shouted over the chaos, "We need to get out of here, now." The team raced through the labyrinthine corridors, dodging falling debris. As they reached the surface, they looked back to see a colossal spacecraft emerging from a hidden cavern, a sleek vessel unlike anything they had seen, bristling with technology that seemed both ancient and futuristic. The ship's hull gleamed with the red dust of Mars, reflecting the dim light of the setting sun. Vrex's eyes narrowed. This is it. Humanity's returned ship. As the ship powered up, the AI Hera's voice echoed one final time. Beware the awakening. The sky without us will soon be filled once more. And humanity, in its infinite complexity, will decide the fate of all. The away team watched in silence, realizing that the future of the galaxy was about to be rewritten beneath the red dust. The voracious light hung silently in Mars' orbit, a silent sentinel shadowed by the growing presence of the massive human ship now preparing for departure below. The revelation of humanity's dormant might had shaken the crew to their core, but none more so than Captain Vrex. The weight of command pressed heavily on him as he pondered what lay ahead. Status report, Vrex demanded, breaking the silence on the bridge. Lieutenant Relax's multifaceted eyes scanned her instruments. The Martian launch platform is fully operational. The human ship is powering up all systems. Estimates place takeoff within the hour. Vrex turned to Krill, the ship's sensor officer. Have we detected any other activity on Mars? Any signs of hostile forces? Krill's feathers bristled as he manipulated the data streams. There is something else, sir. An unknown energy signature emanating from the Tharsis region, just beyond the horizon of Olympus Mons. Unknown? Vrex echoed. Explain. Not a known human installation. Not anything in our star charts. It appears to be a dormant facility, but one that has recently shown signs of activation. The tension on the bridge thickened. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Prepare an investigation team, Vrex ordered. We need to know what we're dealing with. The shuttle detached from the voracious light, cutting through the thin Martian atmosphere toward the distant Tharsis region. The landscape below was a sprawling volcanic plateau, dominated by the colossal volcano Olympus Mons, the tallest mountain in the solar system. As the shuttle approached the coordinates, the team, this time led by Vrex himself, could see a structure carved into the side of a massive lava tube. The entrance was nearly invisible beneath layers of dust and rock. Relax, scan the readings. This is unlike any human architecture we've encountered. The design is angular, almost alien, with materials that don't match anything in our database. Varric, gripping his rifle, growled softly. Great, another mystery. Vrex felt the familiar stir of apprehension mixed with resolve. Stay alert. Whatever this is, it's been waiting a long time for us. Inside the facility, the walls were lined with dark, reflective panels that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. The air was unnervingly still, save for the faint hum of power systems that seemed to pulse with an organic rhythm. As they ventured deeper, a gallery of holographic images flickered to life, ancient scenes depicting strange, towering beings watching over early human civilizations. These beings were unlike anything the crew had ever imagined. Tall, slender, and clad in crystalline armor, their eyes glowing softly with an inner light. Watchers, Relax whispered. These must be the Silent Watchers, mythical guardians of humanity's past. Vrex frowned. Mythical or not, they left this behind. And if this place is awakening, they may not be so silent anymore. Further into the complex, the team found a control room dominated by a massive crystalline console. The moment Vrex touched it, the facility shuddered and the images multiplied, filling the chamber with swirling data streams and star maps. Suddenly, the Watchers appeared as fully formed holograms, tall, regal figures who spoke in a chorus of voices. "Why have you come?" they asked, their tone both curious and commanding. Vrex squared his shoulders. "We come seeking answers. Humanity has returned. The galaxy must know why." The Watchers regarded him silently before replying. "You awaken at a perilous time. The cosmic balance teeters. Forces older than stars themselves stir in the void. Tell us what we must do," Vrex said urgently. "You are the inheritors of a legacy written in both flesh and spirit," the Watchers intoned. The Gravemind Protocol was but a seed. To survive, humanity must reclaim its place not as conquerors, but as guardians. The room pulsed with energy. A map appeared, highlighting several points across the solar system, places where ancient Watcher outposts lay dormant. "You must find these outposts and reactivate the network. Only then can the threat be held at bay." The team left the facility burdened with a new mission, one that transcended their original orders. Humanity was not just returning. It was awakening an ancient covenant between humans and these enigmatic Watchers. Back aboard the Voracious Light, Vrex convened the crew. "Our mission just changed. We are no longer explorers or scavengers. We are the bearers of humanity's legacy. The Watchers have charged us with a sacred task." Relax nodded, eyes shining with newfound purpose. "We'll need allies. This is bigger than any of us." "And enemies," Varric added grimly. "Something is out there, and it's waiting." Vrex looked out at the Martian horizon, where the human ship's engines glowed brighter with each passing moment. "We have little time. The sky without us will soon fill again, with old powers, new threats, and the hope of rebirth." As the Voracious Light prepared to depart Mars, a subtle signal pulsed from deep space, one that none on board could yet decipher. Somewhere, beyond the stars, silent Watchers waited. The Voracious Light cruised in a steady orbit above Mars, the colossal human ship resting silently on the dusty surface below. The crew had barely processed the warnings from the silent Watchers before new events began unfolding, reshaping the stakes of their mission entirely. Captain Vrex stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the data streaming in from the outer reaches of the solar system. The ship's sensors had picked up a faint but distinct signal, a beacon pulsing steadily from beyond the Kuiper Belt, deep in the cold darkness of the solar frontier. "Origin coordinates?" Vrex asked, leaning over the console. Relax's eyes glinted in the dim light. "Approximately 45 astronomical units from the sun. The signal pattern is artificial, complex, definitely not natural phenomena. But its encoding is unlike any we've encountered." Varric growled, "Another mystery. What else is new?" Vrex raised a hand, silencing the gruff soldier. "This might be the key to everything we're seeing. If the silent Watchers warned of a looming threat, this signal could be its herald or a call for help." The crew gathered in the war room to analyze the signal in detail. Skrull, the ship's engineer, was already at work decrypting the transmission with advanced quantum processors. The complex algorithms twisted and turned like a cosmic puzzle, resisting every attempt to break the code. Hours stretched into a day, and tension grew. Finally, Skrull straightened, eyes wide. "Captain, I think I've cracked part of it. The message contains a warning and alert from an ancient human faction, or possibly the Watchers themselves." The holographic display flickered, revealing a series of cryptic symbols and fractured star charts. "Listen carefully," Skrull continued. "The signal speaks of the Rift, a tear in space-time caused by human hubris during an ancient war. It unleashed a force known as the Voidborn, entities that consume stars and life itself. The Gravemind Protocol was designed to delay the Voidborn's advance, but it was never a permanent solution." Relax's voice was hushed, almost reverent. "So the Watchers were right. This is bigger than any of us imagined." Captain Vrex paced the room, mind racing. "We thought humanity had disappeared, but it was hiding, evolving, fighting a war we barely understood. Now that we're stirring awake, the Voidborn have noticed. This signal is a beacon, either a warning or a call to arms." Varric slammed a fist on the table. "If these Voidborn are coming, what chance do we have? We're a handful of ships in a vast solar system. Not just a handful, Vrex replied. The Watcher's network could be the key. If we can reactivate the ancient outposts, we might slow the Voidborn. But we need to move quickly. The voracious light shifted course toward the first Watcher outpost highlighted by the mysterious signal, a station buried beneath the ice of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. As the ship sailed through the void, the crew prepared for what lay ahead. Below decks, tension simmered. Relax confided in Vrex. There are factions within humanity's hidden remnants. Some want to use the Watcher's power to dominate, not protect. We may face enemies from within. Vrex nodded. We've seen how power corrupts. Our job is to ensure humanity survives, not just physically, but morally. Upon arrival at Europa, the voracious light initiated a stealth approach. The icy moon was a frozen wasteland of crevasses and subterranean oceans, a perfect hiding place for a long-dormant outpost. As the landing party descended through Europa's thin atmosphere, the temperature plummeted. The ground beneath their boots cracked with the freeze-thaw cycles. The airlock opened into a cavernous chamber filled with crystalline structures pulsating with faint blue light. This is no ordinary outpost, Relax whispered. Odd. It's alive. Skrull scanned the surroundings. The technology here integrates organic and mechanical components, symbiotic systems that adapt and heal themselves. Suddenly, the walls shimmered, and a translucent figure materialized, a Watcher hologram, ancient yet vibrant. Welcome, heirs of humanity, it intoned. You awaken the legacy. But beware, the Voidborn stir beyond the rift. Their advance is relentless. Your unity is the shield against oblivion. The hologram gestured, projecting a star map showing the rift's location, a swirling anomaly in space-time, glowing with dark energy. This is the breach, the Watcher said. Contained once, it threatens to unravel the fabric of reality itself. The Gravine Protocol slowed the decay, but only a full awakening of the Watcher network can seal it again. Vrex exchanged looks with his team. Then we have our mission. But as they prepared to activate the outpost, alarms blared. External sensors detected movement. Sleek, shadowy ships emerging from Europa's icy shadows. They were not human. Voidborn scout vessels, Relax said grimly. They're here already. A fierce battle erupted among the icy cliffs. The voracious light's weapons roared, defending the moon against the dark intruders. Inside the outpost, the away team raced to power up the ancient systems. Skrull's hands flew over the controls, fingers trembling. Almost there, Varric covered the engineers, firing at the shadowy shapes darting through the ice. The tension was suffocating. With a final surge, the outpost awakened. Energy beams shot into space, forming a protective lattice, a shield designed to slow the Voidborn advance. The shadowy ships retreated, snarling into the void. Vrex exhaled, adrenaline fading. This is only the beginning. Back aboard the voracious light, the crew reflected on the day's events. Relax said quietly, the Watchers were not just guardians, they were humanity's conscience, our connection to something greater. We need to honor that. Vrex nodded. We will, but the Voidborn won't wait. Our fight is just starting. The captain stared out at the stars, a silent vow forming in his mind. The sky without us would soon fill again, not just with humanity, but with the promise of hope against the darkness. The voracious light drifted silently in the void beyond Jupiter's orbit, its crew still grappling with the revelations and battles that had unfolded on Europa. The outpost there now pulsed with renewed life, a beacon of resistance against the advancing darkness known as the Voidborn. Yet, the deeper the crew ventured into the mysteries left behind by the silent Watchers, the more they realized how fragile their grasp on survival truly was. Captain Vrex stood alone on the observation deck, gazing out at the swirling depths of space where the rift, a gaping tear in the fabric of reality, loomed ominously. It shimmered with an eerie violet hue, twisting and writhing like some cosmic wound. Relax approached quietly, her voice low. Captain, the rift is growing. Our sensors indicate fluctuations increasing at an alarming rate. Vrex nodded grimly. We're running out of time. Back in the command center, the crew was analyzing data from the Europa outpost and cross-referencing it with signals coming from the rift itself. The Voidborn, a name once dismissed as legend, were real, and their hunger insatiable. Their presence was not merely destructive, but predatory, consuming star systems, unraveling matter and energy. Skrull tapped rapidly on the controls. The Voidborn aren't just entities. They're a force of entropy, a cosmic scourge that grows stronger with every system they consume. Varric growled from his station. So how do we stop something that's basically death incarnate? The Watcher's network is designed to contain it. Relax answered, eyes fixed on the screen. Each outpost forms a node in a web that stabilizes space-time around the rift. But we have only 2 outposts activated, Rex reminded them. The rift's influence is expanding faster than we can keep up. The map projected above the table showed scattered dots, representing dormant outposts buried across the solar system on Titan, Callisto, and even in the asteroid belt. These outposts weren't just stations, Relax continued. They were part of a defensive system, part machine, part living organism, that can mend the rift if fully reawakened. But why were they abandoned? Varric asked. What happened to the Watchers? The room fell silent. Vrex broke the quiet. History has a way of being buried when it's inconvenient. The Watchers weren't just protectors. Some factions among early humanity feared their power. The rift was sealed at a great cost, but the Watchers vanished. Some say imprisoned themselves to contain the threat. Relax's eyes darkened, or betrayed. The conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert. Krill's voice rang out. Captain, unidentified ships approaching fast from the outer solar system. Vrex's gaze hardened. Enemy vessels, unknown origin, no identification signals, Krill confirmed. Battle stations, Vrex ordered. Prepare to engage. The voracious light sensors locked onto a flotilla of sleek, dark ships skimming past the orbit of Neptune. Their design was unlike anything known. Organic curves and pulsating surfaces that seemed almost alive. They're void-born scouts, Relax said, voice steady but tense. They've crossed the rift's boundary and are probing the solar defenses. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as the crew prepared for combat. Energy cannons hummed, shields powered up, and tactical displays mapped enemy movements. Rex's voice cut through the noise. We don't have to destroy them all, just hold them off. By time for the outposts to come online, the battle was fierce and unrelenting. The void-born ships moved like shadows, phasing in and out of reality, their attacks warping space around them. The voracious light's weaponry struggled to lock onto their shifting forms. Varric fired with deadly precision, shouting commands to his squad. Don't let them breach the inner defenses. Relax worked feverishly to adapt the ship's sensors, attempting to predict the Voidborn's movements. Their phasing patterns are synchronized. If we can disrupt the rhythm, we might gain an advantage. Skrull's fingers danced over the controls. I'm rerouting power to the quantum disruptors. We may be able to destabilize their coherence. Suddenly, a massive pulse radiated from the rift, throwing the entire solar system into chaos. Space around them warped, stars flickered, and the battle momentarily ceased as both sides struggled to maintain stability. Vrex gritted his teeth. The rift's power is escalating. Relax turned to him. We have to act now. If the rift tears open fully, it will consume everything. Then we need to activate the next outpost, Vrex said, voice resolute. Titan is the closest and most vital. As the battle raged, the voracious light made its way to Saturn's largest moon, Titan. The moon's thick orange atmosphere swirled beneath them, concealing the hidden Watcher outpost buried deep in the methane ice. The landing party, led by Vrex and Relax, descended through turbulent skies. The outpost entrance was massive, carved into a frozen cliffside, sealed with a complex crystalline lock. Skrull set to work. This technology is far more advanced than Europa's. It's bioengineered, almost symbiotic. Varric kept watch, ever alert for ambush. Inside, the team found a labyrinth of organic machinery, bioluminescent pathways, and living conduits pulsing with energy. The air was thick with the scent of ancient life. The crystalline lock dissolved at Skrull's touch, revealing a vast chamber with a pulsating core, the heart of the outpost. As Vrex approached, the core reacted, flooding the chamber with light and awakening a Watcher hologram. You have come, it said solemnly. The rift threatens all existence. Only the unity of all outposts can heal the wound. Vrex nodded. We will unite them. But the Voidborn are attacking our forces in the outer system. The Watcher's voice grew grave. They are harbingers of oblivion, relentless and patient. You must prepare for sacrifices to come. The team worked to integrate the Titan outpost into the network, feeling the hum of power strengthen the solar defenses. But the threat of the Voidborn was closer than ever. Back on the voracious light, as the ship prepared to depart Titan, a shadow flickered on the bridge. Vrex turned sharply. Standing there was a figure cloaked in dark armor, eyes glowing faintly. A human, but altered, part of the Voidborn's corrupted spawn. "You cannot stop what is coming," the figure whispered, voice like ice. "The rift is only the beginning." Vrex gripped his weapon, determination burning bright. "We will fight, we will survive, and humanity will rise." As the voracious light sped away from Titan, the crew knew the shadows of the rift were lengthening. But they also knew humanity's legacy, fueled by the Watcher's ancient wisdom and their own unyielding spirit, would stand against the coming storm. The sky without us was filling once more, with stars, with hope, and with the defiant light of those who refused to surrender. The voracious light slipped away from Titan's shadowed moon, its crew reeling from the recent battle and the ominous warning delivered by the shadowed figure on the bridge. Every moment brought them closer to the rift and the growing threat of the Voidborn. But their mission was clear: awaken the last and most vital Watcher outpost, the one hidden deep within the asteroid belt, known in ancient texts as the Heart. Captain Vrex stood on the bridge, staring at the holographic map projected before him. The asteroid belt stretched between Mars and Jupiter, a chaotic field of rocks and debris, ancient remnants from the solar system's formation. Somewhere within this vast graveyard lay the core of the Watcher's power, the source that could tip the balance between salvation and annihilation. "We're running on borrowed time," Vrex said, his voice steady but heavy with urgency. "The Voidborn are growing stronger, and the rift is widening. We need the Heart online, or everything we've fought for will be lost." Relax, standing beside him, nodded grimly. The Heart was more than just a station. It's said to be a living entity, the origin of the Watcher's network. If we can awaken it, the entire system could stabilize. The journey through the asteroid belt was perilous. The voracious light navigated the jagged rocks with precision, using advanced gravitic thrusters to weave between tumbling debris. The crew was on high alert, knowing the Voidborn scouts could be lurking among the asteroids, waiting to strike. "Captain, multiple contacts detected," Krill warned from his station. "Small craft approaching fast." "Voidborn," Vrex confirmed. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers and counterattack." The bridge erupted into coordinated chaos. Energy shields flared, and weapon systems hummed to life. The Voidborn vessels, dark and shifting like shadows, darted between the asteroids, firing pulses that distorted space itself. "Hold them off," Vrex commanded. "We're not leaving without the Heart." The battle was brutal and close. The Voidborn ships moved unpredictably, phasing in and out of visibility. Varric's squad fired relentlessly, managing to destroy several enemy vessels, but others slipped through, striking at the voracious light's hull. Skrull worked feverishly to repair systems and optimize defenses. "Their attacks are affecting our quantum fields. If we lose shielding, we'll be sitting ducks." Relax's fingers danced over the navigation console. "I'm locking onto a signal, a beacon deep within the belt. This must be the Heart." The voracious light altered course toward the beacon, weaving past asteroids as the Voidborn pressed their attack. The crew's determination was palpable. They knew what was at stake, not just their lives, but the fate of the entire solar system. Finally, the ship emerged into a massive hollowed-out asteroid, an enormous, cavernous structure carved deep into rock, with walls glowing faintly with bioorganic technology. This was the Heart of the Watchers. As they approached the docking bay, the ship's sensors detected a complex network of energy conduits and organic tendrils entwined with metallic surfaces. The station was alive in a way no human technology had ever been, more a living organism than a machine. The landing party assembled, led by Vrex and Relax, with Skrull and Varric among them. They descended through the docking corridor into the station's core, the air thick with a humming energy that seemed to pulse with a heartbeat. "This place, it's like it's breathing," Relax murmured, all evident in her voice. The walls shimmered, revealing shifting patterns of light and dark, forming symbols and images that told stories of humanity's ancient past, the creation of the Watchers, and the war against the Voidborn. Skrull scanned the environment. "This technology is symbiotic, an integration of organic life and advanced machinery. It's as if the Watchers themselves became one with the station." At the center of the cavern, a massive crystalline core pulsed with radiant light, the heart of the Heart itself. Vrex stepped forward cautiously. Suddenly, A voice echoed through the chamber, ancient, resonant, and layered with emotion. "Welcome, descendants of Earth. You awaken the legacy of the Watchers." A holographic figure materialized, a being of light and shadow, neither fully human nor machine, but something transcendent. "We have waited for you through the ages." The rift grows, the void-born consume. But through unity, there is hope. The Watcher explained the station's purpose. The heart was designed not only to contain the rift, but to heal it, to knit the torn fabric of space-time back together. However, it required a catalyst, something beyond technology alone. The Gravine Protocol slowed the decay, the Watchers said, but only the true awakening of the Watchers' consciousness, humanity's spirit united with their creation, can seal the rift permanently. Rex's mind raced. How do we activate this consciousness? The heart requires a synchronization, a resonance with the collective will of humanity. It is a bond between flesh and machine, mind and matter. Relax's voice was soft but firm. "We must unite the Watchers and our people. This is a fight not just of weapons, but of spirit." As the team worked to interface with the heart, a new alert sounded. The Void-born fleet was approaching, larger and more aggressive than ever before. The voracious light prepared for a final stand. Back on the ship, the crew prepared for the battle to come. Varric gathered the soldiers. "This is it. We hold this station, or we lose everything." Skrawl's voice crackled over the comms. "The heart is responding to our presence. Energy levels rising, but it's unstable, needs time." Vrex looked out at the incoming Void-born fleet, dark shapes blotting out the stars. "We'll buy that time, no matter what." The battle erupted once again among the asteroids. The voracious light and its allied forces fought desperately to defend the heart. Void-born ships crashed against shields and were vaporized by concentrated fire. But the enemy was relentless. Inside the heart, the interface pulsed brighter. Vrex and Relax connected to the station's neural nodes, their minds entwining with the Watcher's consciousness. Images flooded their senses. Memories of ancient battles, sacrifices, and the original sealing of the rift. They felt the weight of humanity's legacy, a burden and a beacon. With a surge of power, the heart emitted a wave of energy that rippled through the asteroid belt, stabilizing the rift temporarily. The Void-born fleet faltered, their attacks losing cohesion. Vrex gasped, feeling the strain of the connection. "It's working, but we can't hold this forever." Relax nodded, sweat beading her brow. "We need to unite all outposts quickly." As the battle waned, the voracious light limped away from the asteroid belt, the heart's light still shining strong behind them. The crew knew the road ahead would be harder. The Void-born threat was far from over, and the rift's final tearing was inevitable if they failed. But for the first time, hope burned bright. Humanity's spirit, woven through the ancient Watchers, was alive once more, and it would fight to protect the stars. The voracious light drifted quietly away from the asteroid belt, scarred but victorious. The heart of the Watchers pulsed steadily behind them, a beacon of hope and power, its light casting a soft glow through the ship's observation windows. But the victory was fragile. The rift was only temporarily sealed, and the Void-born were gathering strength, hunting with relentless precision. Captain Vrex leaned against the bridge railing, the weight of command pressing heavily on his shoulders. The battle at the heart had been a harsh reminder that their fight was far from over. The rift was a wound tearing through reality itself, and the Void-born were its dark parasites, feeding on chaos and destruction. "The heart is online," Relax said softly, standing beside him. "But it's like a beating heart with a broken rhythm. We've stabilized the rift, but only barely." Vrex nodded, rubbing his jaw. "We're running out of time. The Void-born will come back stronger. We need allies." Relax's eyes narrowed. "There's only one place left to find them. The Outer Colonies." The Outer Colonies, a forgotten frontier. The Outer Colonies were humanity's last refuge and its greatest mystery. Scattered across the far reaches of the solar system, from the icy plains of Pluto's moon Charon to the volcanic fields of Io, they were once vibrant outposts of exploration and survival. Now, many had fallen silent, isolated by distance and political fragmentation. But legend spoke of something more. Whispers told of secret alliances and ancient technologies hidden away from the central worlds, remnants of the first human expansion into space, untouched by the slow decay of Earth's turmoil. If anyone could help the voracious light, it was those colonies. Journey into the unknown. The ship altered course, leaving the warm embrace of the inner solar system behind. Stars stretched out like scattered jewels against the black velvet of space. The crew moved with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Skrull was in the engineering bay, overseeing repairs and modifications to the ship's systems. "We're pushing the voracious light to its limits," she reported over comms. "The heart's energy output is draining our reactors faster than we anticipated. We'll need to conserve power," Vrex replied. "Every system counts." Varric prepared the soldiers, drilling them for the inevitable conflicts ahead. "The Voidborn won't wait. When we reach the outer colonies, we may face enemies both old and new." Contact with the outer colonies. After weeks of travel, the voracious light approached the fringes of the outer colonies, a cluster of stations and settlements orbiting the dwarf planet Eris. The ship's sensors picked up faint transmissions, encrypted, fragmented, but unmistakably human. Vrex activated the long-range comm system, sending a formal greeting. "This is Captain Vrex of the Voracious Light. We come in peace and seek alliance against the Voidborn threat." The response was delayed but came at last, a voice crackling through static. "This is Commander Jayla Venn of the Eris Defense Coalition. Your timing is fortunate. The Voidborn menace has reached our sector, and we are preparing for war." Meeting the Eris Defense Coalition. Docking at the colony's main station, Vrex and Rillax were greeted by Jayla Venn, a fierce leader with steely eyes and a reputation for uncompromising strategy. "The rift threatens us all," Jayla said bluntly, "but the coalition is fractured. Some factions believe in isolation. Others seek to exploit the chaos for power." Rillax studied the commander carefully. "We need unity, not division. The Watchers have awakened, and together, we can seal the rift." Jayla's gaze sharpened. "Words are easy. Action is harder. If you want our help, you'll prove it." The trials of trust. The coalition put the Voracious Light crew through a series of tests, simulated battles, intelligence sharing, and strategic planning. Vrex watched as old grudges and rivalries surfaced, threatening to derail any alliance. But amidst the tension, something unexpected happened. A shadow moved among them, an agent working covertly for the Voidborn, sowing discord and feeding intelligence. It was Rillax who first noticed the pattern. Encrypted messages intercepted, unusual movements in the colony's security network. "We have a mole," she warned. "If the Voidborn learn of the heart's activation here, they'll strike with everything they have." A dangerous game. The hunt for the mole was tense and fraught with suspicion. The coalition's unity was fragile, and accusations flew like sparks in a storm. Vrex convened a council meeting in the colony's command center, a cold steel room lined with holographic maps and tactical displays. "We cannot afford infighting," he said firmly. "We must find the mole and root them out. Our survival depends on it." Jayla nodded, adding, "Trust will be the weapon we wield. Doubt will be our undoing." The revelation. After days of investigation, the mole was uncovered, a high-ranking officer who had been manipulated by the Voidborn's insidious influence, offering strategic data in exchange for promises of power. The revelation shook the coalition, but it also galvanized them. "Enough," Jayla declared, addressing the assembly. "We stand together or fall apart. The rift is our enemy, the Voidborn our common threat." Vrex stepped forward. "The heart is not just a weapon. It's a symbol of humanity's resilience and unity. We must combine our forces, technology, and spirit, forging the alliance." In the following days, tentative agreements were made. The Eris Defense Coalition pledged ships, soldiers, and resources. The Voracious Light shared data from the Watchers, revealing new strategies to combat the rift's spread. Together, they devised a plan, not only to defend the outer colonies but to strike at the Voidborn sources, cutting off their advance. The alliance was imperfect, fragile threads woven from necessity and hope, but it was a beginning. The calm before the storm. As the Voracious Light prepared to depart for the next stage of their campaign, Vrex stood once more on the bridge, staring into the void. "The Voidborn are relentless," Rillax said quietly. "But now, we are too." Vrex smiled, a rare light in his eyes. "Humanity's strength isn't in technology or weapons alone. It's in our will to survive, to protect what we love. That's the true power of the Watchers." The stars beyond shimmered, distant yet alive. The war was far from over, but a new hope burned bright, a hope born of unity, courage, and the unseen alliance between the worlds. The silence of space was deceptive. Far from the warmth of the inner planets, and even beyond the outer colonies, the rift whispered, a low, relentless hum that seemed to seep into the very fabric of reality. It was a wound in the universe, and from it came echoes, fragmented signals, distortions of time and space, and shadows of things that shouldn't be. The voracious light cruised through the void, its hull scarred from recent battles, its crew weary but vigilant. They were on a new mission, one that pushed deeper into the unknown. The heart of the Watchers, newly awakened, had given them a reprieve, but it was fragile. Now they needed to understand the rift itself, to probe its source and discover how to end its spreading chaos once and for all. The rift's signal, relaxed, sat at the ship's communication console, eyes fixed on the fluctuating data streams. "Captain, I'm detecting anomalous transmissions emanating from the edge of the rift," she reported. Vrex joined her, peering over her shoulder. The signals were unlike anything recorded before, pulses of energy interlaced with distorted patterns, almost like a fractured song trying to find its rhythm. "This could be a key," Vrex mused. "If we can decipher these echoes, maybe we can understand the rift's nature." Skrull, ever the skeptic, adjusted his instruments. Or it could be a trap. The Voidborn could be using it to lure us deeper into their territory, into the rift's shadow. Ignoring the risks, the voracious light altered course toward the source of the signal, a swirling maelstrom of energy and debris where space seemed to twist and fracture. The rift was no longer just a tear in space. It was a living scar, pulsing with unpredictable power. As they approached, the ship's sensors struggled to stabilize. Instruments flickered, readings warped. The crew felt an unshakable unease, as if the rift itself was watching, probing their minds. Vrex ordered all hands secured. Prepare for anything. The vision. Inside the rift's shadow, the voracious light was caught in a strange temporal flux. Time slowed and stretched, moments overlapping. Crew members reported vivid visions, memories from their past, fears, and hopes manifesting around them like ghosts. Relax saw her childhood home, long buried beneath Earth's shifting continents. Varric faced the faces of comrades lost in battle. Even Vrex glimpsed the faces of ancestors, staring down impossible odds. "This is the rift's influence," Relax said, voice trembling. "It feeds on memories and emotions." The echo's message. As the visions faded, a new pattern emerged in the signal, a sequence of pulses that aligned with the neural rhythms of the Watcher's heart. The rift was trying to communicate. Skrull began decoding. "It's a message, a warning." The transmission revealed a startling truth. The rift was not a random tear, but the aftermath of an ancient cosmic event, a clash between two powerful forces, creation and destruction. "The Voidborn are the remnants of that destruction," Skrull explained. "They seek to consume what's left, to spread the wound." A desperate plan. Understanding the rift's origin gave the crew hope and a new strategy. If the rift was the result of cosmic forces, then perhaps those forces could be balanced. Vrex convened his officers. "The heart of the Watchers can't just seal the rift. It must harmonize with these forces, restore balance." Relax added, "We need to amplify the heart's resonance, connect it to the cosmic energies that created the rift." Varric, ever the pragmatist, frowned. "And how do we do that? We barely understand this place." Journey to the source. The message contained coordinates deep beyond the rift's edge, in a region marked only as the cosmic crucible. Ancient legends spoke of it as a forge of stars and galaxies, a place where reality itself was shaped. The crew prepared for a dangerous journey. The voracious light needed to traverse the most unstable regions of space, where gravitational anomalies and spatial distortions threatened to tear the ship apart. But with the fate of humanity and the universe at stake, hesitation was a luxury they could not afford. Trials of the Crucible. The journey was brutal. Waves of energy battered the ship. Time warped further. Systems faltered under the strain. The crew endured hallucinations, exhaustion, and fear. But they pressed on. As they reached the Crucible, they found a vast nebula of glowing plasma and energy fields, alive and shifting. At its center was a structure, an enormous, ancient monolith, covered in symbols both alien and eerily familiar. The monolith's secret. Relax led the away team, venturing into the monolith's heart. Inside, they found a chamber pulsing with energy, the source of the cosmic balance. The monolith was a relic of an ancient civilization, long vanished, but who had once harnessed the powers of creation and destruction. The monolith was both a weapon and a shield, designed to regulate the forces that birthed the rift. Skrull interfaced with its core, feeling the overwhelming surge of power. This is the key. If we can reactivate the monolith and link it with the heart, we can heal the rift. The choice. But the monolith demanded a price, a sacrifice of energy, life, or spirit. To activate it, the crew would have to channel their own life force, their collective will. Vrex faced the hardest decision yet. We must decide who will make that sacrifice. The crew debated, tensions running high. But in the end, it was Relax who volunteered, offering her own connection to the Watcher's network to stabilize the monolith. The resonance. With Relax's sacrifice, the monolith came alive. Energy waves pulsed outward, resonating with the heart and rippling through the rift's fabric. The tier began to mend, the chaotic storm calming. The Voidborn fleet appeared once more, sensing their grip weakening. But the crew, bolstered by the new alliance and the monolith's power, stood ready to face them. A new dawn. As the voracious light emerged from the crucible, the rift shimmered, smaller and more stable than ever before. The war was not over, but humanity had gained a crucial advantage. Vrex looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of loss and hope mingled together. The echoes of the rift had spoken, and humanity had answered. The voracious light sailed through the darkened corridors of space, trailing the fading glow of the cosmic crucible behind them. The rift, once a gaping wound tearing at reality, now shimmered like a slowly healing scar. But victory was far from assured. The Voidborn forces, desperate and ferocious, had gathered for one final assault, an assault that would decide the fate of humanity and the universe itself. Captain Vrex stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the battlefield ahead. The cold glow of distant stars was swallowed by the encroaching storm of Voidborn vessels, dark, twisted shapes that moved like a swarm of malevolent shadows. The Voidborn won't stop, Vrex said grimly. This is the last stand. If we lose here, everything is lost. Rallying the forces, the fragile alliance forged with the outer colonies had strengthened, bringing together ships, soldiers, and minds from across the scattered human worlds. Commander Jayla Vin, fierce and determined, now commanded a fleet alongside the voracious light, a symbol of unity in the face of annihilation. Today, we fight not just for survival but for the future, Jayla declared to the assembled crews in a broadcast across the fleet. The rift may be our enemy, but our greatest weapon is our resolve. We are humanity's last light in the dark, preparing for battle. Inside the voracious light, tension crackled like electricity. Engineers pushed the ship's systems to the limit, enhancing the heart of the Watchers and integrating the monolith's cosmic energy. The ship hummed with power, every circuit alive with potential. Varric drilled the soldiers relentlessly. They're relentless, yes, but they underestimate us. Our strength isn't just technology. It's our spirit, our will to fight. Relax, her connection to the Watchers deepened by her sacrifice at the Crucible, moved quietly among the crew. Though weakened, her presence was a beacon of hope and a reminder of the cost of their mission. The approach. As the fleets drew near the rift, the space around them twisted and shimmered, gravity waves rippling, light bending unnaturally. The battlefield was a surreal wasteland of fractured reality, where physics bent and time fractured. Vrex's voice was steady over the comms. All ships, hold formation. Engage only on my command. The Voidborn struck first, a wave of dark tendrils lashing out like living shadows, aiming to rip apart ships and consume their energy. The heart of the fight. The voracious light unleashed the power of the heart of the Watchers, sending out pulses of energy that sliced through the Voidborn swarm. The monolith's cosmic resonance amplified the effect, creating a radiant shield that held the enemy at bay. But the Voidborn adapted quickly, evolving new forms and strategies, twisting their shape to bypass defenses. Varric led boarding parties onto enemy vessels, fighting fiercely in close quarters. Remember, we fight for every star, every world. The turning point. Amidst the chaos, the rift pulsed violently, threatening to tear itself open again. Vrex knew that if the rift broke free, the Voidborn would flood into all of space, consuming everything. Relax, connected deeply to the heart and the monolith, struggled to maintain the delicate balance. Her body weakened, her consciousness straining against the pull of the rift's dark energies. Captain, she whispered through the comms, I can hold it, but only for a little longer. Sacrifice and resolve. Vrex faced the painful truth. To save the universe, someone had to make the ultimate sacrifice. Someone had to anchor the heart in the monolith's power, becoming a living conduit. Without hesitation, Vrex volunteered. I'll do it. For humanity. For all of us. The crew protested, but Vrex was resolute. The process was dangerous, a merging of man and cosmic force, risking the loss of his humanity. Becoming the beacon. In the ship's core chamber, Vrex stood before the pulsating heart and the ancient monolith interface. The energy surged around him, pulling at his mind, his body, bending him towards something greater. As he merged with the cosmic force, Vrex became a beacon, a living light in the darkness, a symbol of human will intertwined with the fabric of the universe. His voice echoed through the ship, calm and powerful. This light will not go out. The final push. With Vrex as the living conduit, the heart's power surged, pushing back the void-born swarm with radiant waves of energy. The rift began to seal, the fractured space knitting itself back together. The void-born, sensing their defeat, launched one last desperate assault. But the Alliance held firm, united in purpose and spirit. Jalavin's fleet pressed forward, coordinated and relentless. For our worlds, for the future, a new beginning. As the Voidborn fled and the rift sealed, silence fell over the battlefield, a heavy, sacred silence. The voracious light drifted in the calm aftermath, its hull glowing softly with the residual energy of victory and sacrifice. Relax, recovering from her ordeal, looked out at the stars. The rift is closed. The Voidborn are scattered. We've won, but at a cost. Legacy of the Watchers. Vrex, now part cosmic beacon, part man, stood on the bridge. His sacrifice had saved the universe but transformed him forever. He spoke softly to the crew. We are the last light, not just of humanity, but of hope itself. The Watchers will guide us as long as we keep fighting. The Alliance vowed to rebuild, to explore, and to protect the fragile peace they had won. Epilogue. The stars await. The voracious light set course for new frontiers, carrying the legacy of courage and unity. The stars beyond beckoned, full of mystery, challenge, and promise. Humanity had faced the abyss and had become its light.